Hi, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. And today I'm reviewing Spark Riders 3000. Spark Riders 3000 is a cooperative experience, a 1 to 4 player cooperative experience in which you are charging through space, desperately trying to survive as you make your way to your destination, guided by the Iris, who's helping you, talk you through, and the Iris being this app-assisted thing over here that's going to help guide you through the game. Now, before we dive into this is a prototype, rules, components, all that stuff, completely subject to change, and this is over on Kickstarter. I'll have a link to that down below as well. But how do you play this game? Well, the basic idea is you go ahead, you punch in the app, you set up some stuff, you pick your characters, you hit go, at which point Iris is going to start guiding you through space. Iris is going to tell you how many units there are till you get to your destination, and then arbitrarily jumping you distance by distance towards that destination while also guiding all the bad things that happen to you. This is a classic cooperative game in the sense that good thing happen, bad thing happen, good thing happen, bad thing happen. You'll be taking your turns in this game to do good things, to building new things on the ship, building new weapons, building new shields, replacing parts of the ship that have fallen apart, adding more armor to the ship. You're basically taking your turn to try to make the ship better. Meanwhile, the nature of space and dangerous stuff and enemy ships and all that stuff means there are other things happening on the app-assisted turn that are making the ship worse. You go ahead and you throw some armor up, suddenly a spaceship appears out of nowhere and starts blasting your ship to smithereens. You go ahead and jump a little further through space and suddenly there's an explosion in the rear engine room and the cargo bay has some issue with the engine slowly shutting down. The game structure is going to be you taking your turns and Iris taking his turn back and forth, back and forth. Iris not so much being against you, but coincidentally being involved in all the bad things that happen to you, so there might be a secret little thing going on over there. But past that, general idea is on your turn you're going to go ahead and take some actions. The actions are all listed on the back of your player board over here. There's a little player board that tells you all the actions. You can pilot, shoot, defense, tinkering, and then credits and cards as well. But the basic main 3 actions you're taking are piloting, shooting, and tinkering. Piloting is going to involve you jumping through space and often helps you outrun enemies or outmaneuver enemies, which can be very helpful, especially if you have one side of the ship with shields and armor and the other side of the ship falling apart. Rotating your ship around and executing some cool space maneuvers can end up with a bunch of enemy ships on the other side. Also, sometimes you can destroy them as well when you do that. Alternatively, you can try to outrun them, charging through space when you have an opportunity, by charging forward through the engines, which will also have the beneficial side effect of getting you to your destination sooner. Then tinkering is going to be one of the main actions you take in the game. Tinkering is going to be how you go ahead and you move to a location. On your turn, you can move up to 3 spots. You can move 1, 2 over here, and then you can go through the process of trying to build various things. You can spend the various credits you'll earn. You'll earn credits across the course of the game. Credits for blowing up spaceships, credits for other things that will happen, but you go ahead and you add one of these things to the board. That's not true. You take the credits and you put them onto a spot, at which point you'll start tinkering away, rolling a tinker die in order to see how many of those you remove. There we go, we remove 2 of them, and we pop this little turret into place over there. You'll be rolling dice, popping new things onto the board, new weapons you can use, new shields that can help you out, new augmentations to your weapons, because some enemies are going to have some extra things going on with them where they can't be targeted by normal weapons, or maybe you want to roll more dice because they're starting to get stronger and come into play with more armor built into them, and so stronger weapons will be a good thing. You're going to spend your time trying to do all this maintenance and upgrading at the same time. You're both building your tableau while trying to make sure it doesn't fall apart while you travel through space. Meanwhile, Iris on her turn will go ahead, and by the way, showing you how this works over here, you'll go ahead and say, oh, take your turn, do your thing, and then when you're done, you go ahead and tap that.
920. Left thruster degradation. Current level 2. Decreased speed. Maintenance recommended. Right thruster degradation. Current level 1. Speed greatly reduced. Maintenance required. Enemy ship in approach. Color. Yellow. Firepower level 1. Armor level 1. Up to you.
That's a classic Iris turn in the game. All the bad things that happen. Your engines are exploding, there's a new enemy ship headed your way, you'll go ahead and grab one of these cards, you'll mark the various spots of what it is, you're going to put some armor on it, put some weapons in it, and say, great, we got a level 1 ship approaching from the rear of the ship, at which point on a future turn, if you don't deal with it or outrun it, it'll suddenly slide up next to your ship and suddenly start blasting away at you every single turn, rolling the dice to see just how much armor penetration it does over there, what it does to your ship, and how it hurts your ship as you fly through space. You're going to be dealing with these enemies, dealing with the various things Iris throws at you, trying to take the core main actions in the game as you try to survive and get your way to the end destination before time runs out or before your ship goes boom along the way. And that is basically Spark Riders 3000. Cooperative game, 1 to 4 players, flying through space, having the app throw all the bad things at you, having you take your turns as you manage, improve, and augment and build up your ship, and getting there in one piece, or, well, hopefully in one piece. Which brings us to the review, and starting off the bat, before you get into the review, this is almost half first impressions. There's a ton of games to play through on the app. I've only played this a few times so far, so take that into account. I don't know how much it develops as you go further and further into it, and I don't know what it could develop into, but let's take that into account as we go through this. But starting off the bat with ease of play, which is, the rulebook's incredibly easy to go through. There's a bunch of stuff to go through, but the actions are fairly simple. Most things are fairly intuitive. This is a fairly easy game to understand, to teach, to get up and running, and the app guiding half of the experience also makes that even easier. As far as what I like, don't like, and conceal as not liking, first of all, as far as what I like, the art and production of this are top notch. Now, it's a good time to note that in addition to this being a prototype, this is also like the deluxe version with all the miniatures and all the upgraded everything, so understand that if you check this out on Kickstarter, there are different options as far as what you can go ahead and buy, and take into account, not all the options look like this. But past that, the art, the production, all that stuff looks top-notch. The overall presentation, the app does a great job. Overall, I have nitpicks, we'll talk about that. But again, prototype nitpicks. But the app does a great job, very smooth, very clean. Everything here is just very solid production value. And the app guiding the journey is useful as you go through them. Having the app throw all the bad things at you means you don't have to remember extra rules. You don't have to try to go through the system trying to figure out what's coming your way. You can just go ahead and run the app and have all the bad things happen. And it runs through it fairly quickly, but you have a nice little log that you can scroll up and see, okay, great, we had an enemy pop up here. We have to take some armor off over there, and part of the ship is exploding over there. You can do all these things very simply and easily, and the app guides you on that as well, while also throwing fun little surprises your way. You're going to have opportunities to do different things that you weren't necessarily planning for. Little asteroid fields that you have to make decisions around. Little pop-up booms in your engine room that you have to deal with. There's all these other things happening along the way that couldn't be handled by a simple do this on the enemy's turn, but rather the app makes sure that all those things are done with a degree of variance and variability that you can only get through having the app. Separately from that, I also like the randomness and the distance aspect. The general randomness of the things that are being thrown your way by the app, as well as the fact that you have this distance aspect where it's not really a set number of turns, it's kind of like this vague distance through space, so you can see yourself making progress, but you don't have an exactly firm picture of how that progress plays out. And yes, you can modify that progress by speeding through space a little more, which can help you get to the destination quicker. But when do you want to do that? When do you not want to do that? If you go ahead and destroy enemy ships, you can get extra equipment and stuff that you can use to buy new parts for your ship. If you run away from enemy ships, you can get to your destination faster and hopefully not involve yourself with combat or the destructive aspect of combat at all. So there's constant trade-offs as far as what you're doing on your race through space to get to your end destination. And the process of leveling up your ship as you go, the process of slowly adding various turrets and buffing up those turrets and adding shield generators, assuming you can actually do so effectively because you're not being killed all the time, it's fun to build up your ship and to level everything up and to slowly get more powerful as you fly through space. As far as what I don't like in this game, first of all, and this is very much a prototype complaint, take that into account, but the app doesn't always hear what you're saying and can slow down the experience and be frustrating when it's doing so. The app is trying to listen. You're actually talking and telling the app. You're saying things like, let's go ahead and do this over here. Build engine level 2. Yeah, that's not actually a term you can use, by the way. Manual controls locked. Repeat. That's not actually a term you can use over there, but the terms you'll use that repairing the thrusters and repairing a certain room or adding adding whatever it is you're adding to it. The terms you'll use to tell Iris what to do. If you don't get them right, if you don't get them exactly right as you go, she will mishear you and potentially do the wrong thing or potentially do nothing at all. And then there's one time in particular where I could not get her to hear the word TWO and she kept on hearing it TO. And so she couldn't process that, and I had to eventually give up and manually type it in. And those small little bugs can frustrate the experience in a game that otherwise is, in an app that is otherwise very clean. It still has some beta bugs to be ruled out. Again, prototype complaint, take that into account. On a more potentially not prototype complaint, I don't love the fact that Iris doesn't manage everything. When you look at the app, you'll have a lot of things being managed and taken care of, a lot of aspects of the ship that are being handled by the app, but not everything is shown or being made visible. And so some things you do in the game, adding armor or adding different gears or whatnot to the ship, don't necessarily show up in the app and makes it harder to understand exactly the status of your ship at different points and what exactly is happening to it. And that, I kind of wish that it handles so much of it. I kind of wish you did say, yes, I just built a rocket, I just built a turret over here, and yes, I just added 3 armor over here. I want the app to understand and see those things as you go through the experience. And then lastly, the game depth does seem limited. This is where that note about the fact that I've only played a few games should take into account, but the depth of the experience does seem limited, just in terms of the types of actions you have access to. There's just not enough. There's not enough things you can do in the game, and unless things are being unlocked that aren't in the rulebook, I just don't see the depth being that high. It's a very good experience. It's a very clean experience. It gives you a lot to do, and it gives you things to manage and juggle, but at the end of the day, the level of variability of what you can actually engage with strategically here is a little bit more limited, and that does mean that it's almost relying on the app's variability to keep the experience constantly changing, but the actual depth of how much strategy there is and what level of different options or opportunities you have in the game does seem to be on the lower end, making this more of a lighter game or mid-light game as opposed to something heavier. As far as what I can see others not liking, first of all, lots and lots of randomness, which may be a problem for you, may not be. There's lots of dice rolling and you can get vastly different results. Sometimes you don't get any results that you want, you get credits instead, which are fun, but not that fun because the prosperity things you get, the prosperity cards, you have to give up like 4 dead rolls to get that, which can be frustrating. And so there's a lot of randomness in the dice rolls, the randomness in terms of what comes up your way, what the app throws at you. If you're looking for a game where you can plan around a tactical degree of the game will do this and then I'll do this exactly back, this game does not have that. This game has randomness left, right, and center, which can get in the way of your plans, and you may find that frustrating. As far as final thoughts on Spark Riders 3000, overall, I very much enjoyed this game. Overall, I found it to be a fun experience as you go through space, as you engage with the app, as you try to figure out how to build up your ship and to shoot all the bad things down and try to figure out just how to get to your end destination. I enjoyed the process of going through it. I enjoyed the experience. I've had fun building it up. I've had fun making choices and trying out the different characters and all of that. At the same time, it is one that is lighter in terms of what it's doing, and at the same time the frustration with the app I can kind of get over because that's very much something I view very strongly as a prototype aspect, versus the game's weight is one that has me wondering how many games is this good for me. For me is the key word. Depending on who you are, you might be looking for a lighter experience. This is an excellent, well-guided lighter experience that is charming, that is lovely, that is absolutely delightful. For me, unless something changes as I continue to play into it, it's the kind of game that I'll enjoy my time with it, but not necessarily one that I'll need to have played 15-20 times, because it does seem to cap out at just how much variability there actually is to the strategic depth of the experience. Overall, this is a 3.5 out of 5 for me. Enjoyable, charming, lovely, a little bit on the light side for my tastes. As far as other game recommendations, first of all, if you're looking for my newest favorite cooperative game, The Loop. The Loop from Pandasaurus Games is a game I thoroughly enjoy that gives you a delightful little puzzle that I highly recommend. And if you're looking for some more cooperative space shenanigans, Space Alert from CGE will give you a very different kind of survive in space vibe to it, but one that has been well rated in general and well liked in general for a very long time. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.